All right. Addressing the problems in Springfield, let's get to it.
Welcome to The Voice. This is Andrew Keaton. I'm sitting in for Nathaniel Patterson, and we have a special guest today for you, and his name is Zeph Mongroo. Now, we go way back, and first of all, before we get started, introduce yourself and tell the folks a little bit about who you are.
Okay, well, I mean, everybody knows Zeph by now.
Yeah, everybody knows Zeph, but just give us a little history and we're going to get into what we're talking about.
Yeah, but as Andrew said, me and him been knowing each other since we were probably about 12 years old. I came to America when I was about 10 years old, been here for about 40 years now. I come from the islands. Since then, I've done a number of things, entrepreneurship, have taught in a few places. And entrepreneurship is my forte. I'm working at the Movement Project with a young lady by the name of Lorice Jiggets, and we do a whole lot of things over there. One of the things I do over there is teach a nutrition class, teach an entrepreneur program. And, anything else you want to know about me, come to the Movement Project.
I hear you just come in. Once again, they're on Dickinson Street, the Movement Project. They do a great job. But let's get into this Baltimore situation. We're going to get into it, and without hesitation, we're going to get into it.
Problem.
As if you lost or you hiding underneath a rock, there's some rioting going on in Baltimore. And we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to understand before there's more lives lost. But you know what? We're sitting here with Mr. Zeph Mongroo. He's got a special take and interesting take on what's going to happen. And we're going to dialogue about what's going on. So without further ado, give us a little take on what you think was going on in Baltimore.
Okay, so a lot of times when I see these situations taking place on the tell-lied to your vision, I often take a few minutes out.
Say that again. What?
Tell, lie to your vision.
Okay, that's a new word for it.
We say television, but it's really a box that tells lies to your vision. That's what it's all about when you sit in front of that box. So what I often do before I get emotional, get all crazy, I take 5 minutes to do my homework. So let's take this. Let me go back a little bit to that case where that gentleman, I forgot his name, the Scott fella got shot in the back.
Okay.
Remember that one recently? Where
yes.
All right. So
and that's the South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Now I want everybody to go do their homework. That video was just too perfect for one. I mean, it was just too good to be true. We caught a cop shooting a brother in the back. And
wait. Let's tackle this. Too perfect. What do you mean by
too good to
perfect?
be true? Meaning we caught the whole thing from start to finish, but not really from start. We caught it from the point where the gentleman is running from the cop, and then the cop shoots him. He goes down, and it just looks like cold-blooded murder to us. That's all we see. So now we get emotional about it.
But what's perfect about that?
It was very seldom. When you see these videos with brothers getting beat up, getting shot down, very seldom is a video that perfect. Very seldom. And do your homework. So when we look at that video, the brother gets shot. He's laying on the ground. The cop walks over, takes his time. He walks over, put the handcuffs on the brother. Then later on in the video, we see a brother come, a fellow officer come. He's a brother. He kneels over the guy, pulls his shirt up, and he calls it in what he sees. He saw him got shot in the buttocks and blah, 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 blah. So I asked myself, if I have 5 bullets in me, how much blood will be on the ground? Now do your homework. Go look at that video. You won't see a drop of blood anywhere. Now the brother had on a white T-shirt and he had on a green shirt over it. A white T-shirt and not a drop of blood.
Now, you're referencing the South Carolina.
This is South Carolina,
Now,
yes.
What's the correlation? Because you're saying this is perfect with the other murders. Now, you think
Right.
these are set up? These murders are being set up or orchestrated?
Yes, a lot of them are orchestrated because they're trying to incite us to do just that, to riot. Now, why do I say that? Because when you do your homework, go on the FBI website and look at the crime statistics. Caucasian lead in almost every crime on the planet. Drugs, they're about 800,000. We're at about 2. DWIs, they're about 700,000. We're about 100 and something thousand. I took time out to go look at all those statistics. And the point is, crime is down in America. They've killed so many of us. There's so many of us are locked up. People are just not getting high like they used to. There used to be a time where you could go right around on Springfield and find the crack area. I'm like, where are the crackheads?
Right.
You understand?
Right.
I pull a young brother over on the street one day. Young fella that I used to always, talk to about selling drugs. He's like, bro, listen, I got to get out this business. And he's the one educated me on that. Mm-hmm. He brought it to my attention. He said, look, man, ain't no crackheads here. Why? Because they done killed so many of us, locked up a whole lot of us. So crime is down in America. Now, again, do your homework. There's a lot of towns in the 90s and the 80s were building jails left and right because this war on drugs, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now there's no more drug addicts, no more drug dealers. Not that there's no more, but there's not as many. A lot of these towns are laden with debt from building these prisons, $200, $300, $400, $500 million in debt. So now we have Corrections Corp of America, you know who they are, is trying to take over the whole penal system, and they're trying to privatize it. So what do they need? They need product, which is what? Bodies to fill these jails. So where are they going to get them from? Because we're not killing each other like they say we are, okay? So
well, one thing I will agree with you, there's an alarming, information when you say the murders in Springfield, when we all know Springfield is up to about 13 murders already, and even Boston, don't even talk about Boston. Boston's up to almost 40-something murders, and they didn't even talk about it. But I do agree with you, and also Springfield just made the Law Street list of the second dangerous city in the Northeast. It is nonsense. I do agree with you. Yeah. But how do you now you're saying that it's conspiracy. No, I'm just saying that a conspiracy with the way these police shooters are going down and trying to
Yes.
What about, let's look at police brutality, because all of a sudden, why would they use police brutality in sight? This has been going on about 60, 70 years in this country.
It's been going on for 400 or 500 years. But the point is, black folks have become so docile. We're not fighting back anymore. You understand? It used to be easy, call you the N-word, and now they done locked everybody. Matter of fact, they didn't even need a reason to lock you up back then, 50, 60 years ago. Now they do.
So why are black folks fighting now and they wasn't fighting before? Are they tired?
Well, that's my point. Black folks, that's what I'm trying to tell you. When you look at what happened in
Ferguson?
Not Ferguson, Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Black folks didn't start fighting until they saw what? Those cops in riot gear. Now that's what I'm saying. You gotta really stop and pay attention. You gotta really stop and pay attention. What made them start fighting? They saw a riot gear. How did those cops know there was gonna be a riot? I mean, we would have been tore up the place a long time ago. So what I'm saying is a lot of this stuff is orchestrated. And before we start getting emotional and thinking that, you know what I'm saying, it's black folks doing all of this, we gotta look at the other dynamics. This whole country is based on crime.
So I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you're saying black folks don't fight back?
No, I'm saying we're to the point today, we're not fighting back like we used to in the 50s and 60s with docile, man. Right. Was the first,
well, I will agree with you on this. Because of the civil rights struggle and our marches not being successful and unsuccessful, we have been beaten down for marches. I would say that.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So they have to force us into action now. We're a bunch of lying dogs, sleeping lions.
But who benefits and gains out of forcing us to
Very simple. Let me answer that because we're running out of time. Remember when we was at that meeting at the Rebecca Johnson?
Yes.
And that lady, the DA lady was there, and I asked her a question. Even in that meeting, they were telling us crime was down in Springfield. At the Howard Street jail, capacity was 1,600. It was down to 800. That's a problem. What does that mean? They would have to lay off officers.
Right.
So when I asked the DA lady, I asked her, I said to her,
listen. Okay, listen. We're gonna pick it back up there.
All right.
We're gonna come back. You listen. We're on The Voice, and I'm here with Zeph Mongroo, and we'll be back for the next segment in 2 and 2.
All right.
I've been dancing since I came to the world.
Well, excuse me. Most of us, drink bottles and walk around. I gotta go buy a $50 drink, right?
Hey, it's all. So basically, it's a holistic leadership development program for young girls where we teach.
We're jumping the gun a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. Give me some background history in Joe Young so our people can know who you are.
Hey man, well, I started when I was 7 years old, and I had a passion for writing.
I don't see the toes pointed right, they're not turned out. I will stop and I will go and I will adjust their bodies.
Now, do you walk around with like a stick? Like,
No, I'm walking out with a stick, though.
right? You got a stick.
I certainly grew up with one.
All over the world at large, that people, like we've seen in these films, just happen to have a disability. And that's the only difference between them and the rest of us. And I think the other factor that I have finally changed my mind on that you can appreciate is that this is the largest film festival in the United States, and so we really should celebrate that as well. Woohoo!
Once again, we back on The Voice. This is Andrew Keaton sitting in for Nathaniel Patterson. Once again, I want to thank Mr. Patterson for allowing me to sit in with Zeph and Mongroo and talk about some issues dealing with the community and all Baltimore. And we're going to get back to Baltimore, but I want to ask you some issues dealing with this community and what your take on some police brutality that we can address some things that happened in the past, because I know you have some experience that you can tell us about, or some encounters. But I want to say this before we do that. Just going over some of the stuff that you're saying. Orchestrated. You seems like the police are inciting some of this this violence, and it just seems too well like we've been beaten down through the civil rights. It just seems too well orchestrated. But I want to ask you this.
Okay.
What is your take on Springfield as a community and the police brutality compared to what's going on in the country? Do you think there's a similar? Do you think there's similarities to it, or you think there's going all over the country?
It's the same thing all over the country. Crime is down. I keep saying it. Crime is down.
But towards police brutality, we understand the crime is down, but we're talking about police brutality. What's your take on the police brutality?
Here's the question. What is police brutality? It's the same
good
thing. It's nothing new. They've been beating us down from the time they took us across the water on the ships. So when we're acting like this is like something like that just been created. This is old what we're dealing with. It's just re-engineered. That's all it is. So now they're getting us to participate in our own destruction. That's all it is. So when they show you that image on television, now you yourself get excited and you're going to go out and you have no say-so about what happens to you at that point, because what? They're going to say you the one came and started rioting.
Yeah. Okay.
You understand?
That being said,
yeah.
Why do we let this happen?
Because we love everybody but ourselves.
Okay.
We want so bad to be accepted by everybody else but ourselves. We'll stand in the front of a hose. We'll get bitten by a dog. We'll do whatever it takes to tell every other race of people that we love you.
So what are we getting out of that, though? But
Just what we're getting: murder, we're getting jail, we're getting bitten by dogs, and we're getting wet down by hoses.
But you said that we love ourselves. We don't love ourselves. We want to be like everybody else.
Right.
What are we getting out of that, though?
I just told you nothing, and that's the point. So when we wake up and realize they're not giving us anything, they're giving us crumbs. So when we realize we're not making any leadway with this mentality, then we can turn back to loving our brothers like we used to do in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s when we were segregated, and then we will be able to build our communities back up. But this, as long as we keep thinking that if we just, all I have to do is, then they will accept me. If I got 80 degrees, a PhD, DDD from A to Z, then they'll accept me.
And I agree with you on that point. There's a part of us that agree with you. There's a part of us that don't agree with you. There's a part of us that, like you said, that like the position they're in right now.
Exactly.
They want to be docile. They want to get a hose in front of them. What do you do with these people? Now, I know the Mosai Marcus Garvey said, listen, there's people that if we did take them back to Africa, they would be no use to us anyway. So what do we do with those people? We just forget about them, we move on, or we gather up the forces that can help us or build a community? What do we do?
Well, if you go back to, let's say the Bible, for example, Christ said, not everybody who say, Lord, Lord, all right? So what do we do with those people? Let them have the people that they love, and what we do is gather the people that we love. Because at the end of the day, you can't make nobody love you.
But we love everybody, though. Now.
But hold on, let me answer the question. That's the point.
Right.
We love everybody.
But we can't save everybody, though. We love everybody, can't save everybody.
When you say we love everybody, what do you mean?
You just said to get the people we love.
Okay.
As a people, listen, you're my brother.
Right.
I love you.
Right.
We don't see each other all the time.
Right.
But I love you. You know why? Because we have something in common, and that's called that African connection.
Right.
But that don't mean that you're gonna be on the same page with me when it's time to roll, right?
Well,
or some of the people in your circle. So inclusion, unless we have unity and we love everybody, then what's the purpose?
Well, that's the point. First and foremost, we got to put the religion and all that aside so we can love each other. And understand that when these people come to shoot you down, they're not saying what's your religion. They're not asking how many degrees you got. They're looking at you, looking at me. We got melanin, and it's a wrap.
Now, let me get on this. Let me get on this, because do you think, and this is important, and people listening to it, they might not like what I say. Do you think that religion brings out the lack of love of oneself?
Religion is no different. Religion is politics, because if you understand this,
right? But I'm saying, do you think it brings out the lack of love? Because I kind of thought you said that.
I'm answering the question. Religion is politics, and politics puts you on sides. You have to choose one. So yes, religion, and I hope people call me and question me about the statement I'm about to say. Religion is probably 90% of our problem. It is designed to keep us divided and arguing and hating each other. There's nothing about religion that teaches us how to love each other truly according to our Creator. So yes, because when you look at these marches, who's the first people they bring out? Who was down there in Baltimore? What's his name? Jesse Jackson. You understand? They bring out all the pastors, and when you study civil rights movements, who was the people they called to the front lines first?
They called the ministers because
they paid them,
right? Because they had the ear of the people and the mass of the people.
Exactly.
But like we had talked about, off camera, obedient marches. You get nowhere with obedient marches. So I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Obedience is the slave master's will.
Right.
So I totally agree with you on that.
Listen, a march is nothing more than showing your oppressor how much he has you under control. Nat Turner didn't go and ask for permission. He didn't do that. Marcus Garvey was like, look, don't let anybody outside of your race into your organization.
Now saying that, what do you think about when you burn down the community and you because we've had it happen to us, unwillingness, and we've done it, burning down your communities, looting. What do you think about that?
Let me show you what we should be burning down. We should be burning down every foreigner in our community, we should be burning down their businesses. Get them up out of there. That they don't want to come back to our communities. That way we now can set up shop in our communities. We should be checking who, okay, is that a brother's store? Let's leave it alone. If that one belongs to a foreigner, that one, burn it down.
But whose fault is it that when we were growing up, and you know that, there were minority businesses,
All over
people
the
that look
place,
like all over there. Whose fault is it when the businesses leave and the foreigners come in? Because some of them are, whether they admit it or not, they are our African brothers. But whose fault is it when we let them set up shop in there? Whose fault is that? Because we have no entrepreneurial spirit. We do not take over business. Our business is not passed down from generation to generation to generation. So whose fault is it?
The so-called black leaders of our communities, those guys who hold titles and those ministers, because what they keep teaching you is inclusion. They keep teaching you, instead of keeping things segregated, because in Long Meadow, there's no black shops. How many people go set up black stores in Long Meadow? There's no market for you there. However, there's a market for everything they sell in our communities. And who's teaching us this every Sunday? Who's on the radio stations and rubbing elbows with these politicians because now they're the elector of your community, or now they got a little status ahead of this organization?
Right, but we can't hold all the leaders and all the ministers responsible for us not having businesses in the community.
Yes,
when we had these businesses here, and we let these businesses go. I know personally businesses closed because they didn't feel that the family was unfit to run them. They didn't feel comfortable. They didn't have nobody to take over the business. Therefore, you have other. But you know exactly what I'm saying. You ran multiple businesses in the community. When you are ready to go out of business or retire, who is ready to? It's the same thing with leadership. Now, when it comes to business, economics, it's all the same thing. And I know you check out economics. Who is in your place to run your business?
And that's what I'm saying. What's killing that spirit right there is our so-called leaders, right? Because the people are only as good as the leadership. Now, I'm with you. We can't blame them entirely. We got to give the people the blame too. But most people are like sheep. They're always looking for some voice to follow. That's just human nature. Because by ourselves, we don't know some things. So we have to rely on the people who do. That's why me and you sitting here having this conversation. There's things that we know that the average person doesn't, and so we're trying to bring that information to bring about a course of action from the people that we love so much. So what I'm saying is, that we have to look at these people who we're calling leaders and see exactly what it is they're telling us to do. And if they're telling us to let everybody else in our community do business, then we got to get rid of them and not listen to them. There shouldn't be a CVS, Walgreens, Subway, none of that in our community. It shouldn't be there.
Listen, well, by the way, the Subway is owned by
a brother.
Owned by a brother now, so give him an opportunity to come into business and do it. But listen, we're sitting here on The Voice. I'm here with Zeph and Mongroo. I'm Andrew Keaton. I'm sitting in for Nathaniel Patterson, and we'll be back after 2 and 2. About 2 and 2, we'll be back with some more conversation on that. But we can't knock the brother now. Can't knock him. No. We'll be back. Once again, I'm here with The Voice, and we're going to wrap the show up. I just want your final words and final comments very briefly, and we're going to go wrap the show up.
Okay, so, because I love my brothers and sisters, I just want to plead with the people in my community. Please, don't just get emotional about the things you're seeing. take 5 minutes out to do your homework. Everybody has access to the internet. You know, it's on our phone, it's on your tablet, it's everywhere. So just take a few minutes out and do your research before you go buying into all the things that you see. And let's start coming back to loving each other, come back to being a community once again. Because right now we don't have one. And with that, you know, I just want to say that I love you, brothers and sisters, and that's why, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm here with my brother Keaton, so that we can wake up the spiritually dead, the mentally dead, and the intellectually dead.
So that's a wrap on The Voice. Once again, this is Andrew Keaton sitting in for Nathaniel Patterson, and we'll be back with some more upcoming topics. Make sure you support The Voice.